Hello, good morning, and welcome to our HTML5 lecture series at SNHU. I'm Tom Adamson. I'm visiting professor and having a sip of my coffee here. Oh yeah, by the way, this is going to be my hat for this lecture. How do you like it? My old fishing hat. It says, "Don't bug me." Okay, this is actually lecture 09 on XML rules. So let's talk about that, because we had in lecture 08, we introduced what XML is, and let's see what its rules are and why it actually rules. So a person could be asking the question, what does XML mean, and why do we use it? That's a legitimate question that someone could ask, and of course the person that would be asking it would probably be looking right at us, you know, sort of surprised, and then asking the question. We're going to spend this time on XML. What does it mean and why do we use it? Well, let's make a note over here. XML stands for the extensible, EXTENSABLE, markup, MARKUP, language, LANGUAGE. So that's where we get the X from extensible, and the M from markup, and the L for language, XML. That's all it means. Let's put this on a sticky note. And to make sure the sticky note stays up there, we'll just use some pins, board pins, just to pin it in, okay? All right, so the next thing is that we'll have up here is we're going to ask this person, oh yeah, by the way, they should have a neck. We should give them a neck. And then also let's make their shoulders scrunch up, so like they're asking. And then we could put their hands here like this, put a thumb, okay, like they're asking a question, okay. A little bit aggressive on the question. What does it do? Give them some teeth here. All right, XML, what's it used? Why do we use it? We use XML to store and transport data. Remember, we gave an example of that's why the W3C came up with it as a recommendation. There's another sticky note, and to make sure it stays there, we'll use these little board pins right there. Okay, so we have another person that's going to say, well, if that's what XML stands for, and if that's why we use it to store and transport data, they're probably going to say, you're going to see a skeptical person. Skeptical people usually have glasses like this, okay, like this right here, and they'll say, because they look skeptical, they'll say, okay, show me. Person wants to see some proof of what XML does. And now we're going to go to the board. So if I could have the camera on the board, please. I don't need it on me over here. I'll be doing some stuff, and I'll just be coming up to the board when I need it. What I see now is I'm looking at an XML document through the browser. And what I see is there is something there called students. So we're going to stay focused on the board there. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to click on the plus sign. And when I do that, I see I have student, 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 as if it's stuttering. What this is showing is that I have 3 records of information about students. I'm going to stay focused on that board over there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up one of them. I open up one, and I see what it's about. It's about a student ID, a last name, a first name, a GPA, and I open up the other student. It's about the same thing, only the data are different. I open up this one here, and I see the same thing again. It's about the data. So what XML does, we're going to come back to the board here. We use XML to store and transport data. And if we come back to the screen here, please, what we see here right now, XML is storing this data. And what's so cool about it is that it stores it as text. Let me show you what I mean. We can stay on the board there. And I'm now going to come over here looking at the board. Here's my XML example. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to open it with my favorite editor, Notepad. And as we can see on the board, I'm going to come back here to the screen here. Come back here. As we can see, all of this is in text. And of course, text is the easiest thing for computers to read. No matter what the operating system or hardware, if it's a digital computer, it can read text. So what I'm going to do now is come back to the board, to the markup board here, and look at my, of course, the pages always stick together when you need them, right? Come on. There is another page under here, I know it, because I can see it, but it won't show it to me. Okay. All right, I got it. I got it. Here's my fancy academic sheets here. All right, so the next thing someone would probably ask, is there anything else I should know about XML? Well, the answer is, as you might suspect, yes. And why should I know these things about XML? The reason why is because the HTML5 recommendations are built upon the foundations used in XML. And if you don't understand these foundations, you may not completely understand why things are done the way they're done in HTML5. Okay, so is there anything else I should know? Anything else I should know? That's obviously what someone would ask that we're watching this. And of course, we'll put glasses on them like that and give them long hair. Okay, there's the person right there. Anything else I should know? Give them a neck, a little collar here. And yes, there is. Here's one thing you should know about XML. And the one thing you should know here, that XML is a markup language like HTML is. Both HTML and XML are markup languages, okay? They're not programming languages. And the other thing we should know is that like HTML, an XML document is pure text. Now, what that means, that's really important, because what that means is that you don't have to buy anything to use XML. You don't have to buy anything to create an XML document. Anything in XML that you need to do is totally free. Why? Because it's all just simple text. Just like with HTML. You don't need to buy anything at all in order to use all the powers in HTML, HTML5. K3, XML is used to, what is this, number 3? Okay. Carry data, carry and store data. And we saw this from just a few minutes ago. That's what it's designed to do. Okay. Number 4, what we should know about XML is that XML tags unlike HTML tags, are not predefined. And here's what I mean by that. XML tags are not predefined. This is an important concept to get. And we need to get back to the screen there, please. If I look at an XML document, I pick the names of my own tags. I pick students. I could have picked anything. But they should be self-describing because the tags are not predefined. Student and students and ID, all these tags that I define don't mean anything to the browser. On the other hand, if I look at this one right here, and what I've got here is let's see, what do I have here? Yeah, here's HTML. This is an HTML document being displayed as an XML document. All of these tags in HTML are predefined. The title tag has a very definite meaning. So does the style tag. So does the script tag. So does the head. So does the body. When I use XML, these tags have no predefined meaning, but in HTML, these tags do have a predefined meaning. So that's what that one statement means. So the power of XML is that I can define my own tags. They won't cause anything to happen, but the point is that I can now have them so they're self-describing. They describe the data that they hold. So obviously in 5, what's important about 5 is that 5 is you must define your own tags. And then I need a better marker. Let's see. Get a little coffee here. Okay, that was number 5. Okay, moving along now to number 6. Number 6, XML is designed to be self-describing. For example, I have student and students. Let's go back to the board here. GPA, this tag here, it's self-describing. Everybody sort of knows, well, that means grade point average. All right? ID, well, that's probably student ID. L name, that's probably last name. F name, that's probably first name. So those tags are self-describing. However, if I come over here and I look at HTML tags, what I see here, here's the body. I'm going to open the body. I see this tag here that says H1. Well, what does H1 mean? I mean, H1 doesn't tell me anything like ID does or students does or something. H1 is an instruction to the browser that says, take this content that's between these tags and display it as large as you can. But these tags don't tell me that. I have to try it. So the thing is that XML is designed to be self-describing. So the tags tell me something about the content. All right, back here on the board, you'll be happy to know that XML is a W3C recommendation. And even though we say that the W3C sets web standards, what they really do, those standards are called recommendations. So XML is a W3C recommendation, just like HTML5 is a W3C recommendation. And now the most important thing here maybe is, what does XML do? XML does Here's what it does. It does nothing. It just stores data, transmits data. Outside of that, in and of itself, it doesn't do anything at all. You have to remember that. There's nothing magical about it. Actually, the concept of XML, once you get it, is really quite simple. So, let's look at this here. Got another concept, another important concept here. And if we look at this, what I'm about to show you, I'm going to make the cloud. This is the cloud, okay? Big cloud. This is the cloud. The whole internet, right here. I've confined the whole internet. And on there, on the cloud, are millions and zillions of servers. Here's a server. Here's another server. This might be a Google server. This other one might be an IBM server. Here's another server here. It would take me probably 100 years to draw all the servers, and I couldn't keep up with them because there's new ones going up on the internet all the time. And you don't even see them. They're all over the world. They can be in Spain, they can be in Switzerland, they can be in Russia, they could be in Siberia, they could be in Brazil, they could be in Argentina, France, Paris. You name it. I'm just going to draw a few of them here. I'm going to make a statement here. XML is now the most common tool for data transfer between all kinds of systems, including massive multiplayer online games, including games too. When you play games online, hey, this should be of interest to some, right? So what I see here, this is XML, this is XML, this one going from here to here, this is XML, this one transmitting data from this server to that server in Siberia to Argentina is XML, this one here going here is XML, this one here is transmitting data using XML. This is going on all the time. Just like the sun shines during the day, on a non-cloudy day, 24/7, XML is going all over the internet from millions and millions and millions of applications. Silently. You don't hear XML, do you? See, it's happening. I don't hear it. And because of this, if we didn't understand what XML was, we wouldn't have a clue that this was happening because it's transparent. You can't see it taking place. But without it, the world would be a lot different. Here's the cool thing about this. Since XML is just nothing more than pure text, systems can be changed, updated, and even replaced without any effect on data storage or sharing. This is the thing that's so cool, because it could be, here's a server in some South American country that just had a major revolution, new government took over, they got rid of the old server, and they put in a brand new server. Hey, nothing really changes as far as XML goes. They still get the data, they can send the data and what have you. Here's another country that decides to have a different operating system. We're switching from Windows to Linux, no problem. XML, still again. XML is one of the coolest inventions that we've had around in a long, long time. And you know what? XML is, as we said before, and here's what's so cool about it. Regardless of what you might hear, it's totally free. You don't have to buy anything to use it. You can use Notepad to put it in, and there's programs that will convert from tables to XML files. Now, there are a few XML rules, a few rules that we must follow when we do an XML document. And it's important that we understand these rules. The reason why is because they also apply to XHTML documents, and the reason why for that is that they may also apply to XHTML5 documents. And there's not that many rules, but it's important that we have them, that we show what they are. Okay, since these are rules, this has to go like on a billboard. And this is going to be the title of the billboard. Of course, since we have a billboard here, it has to be a great big thing, and it needs flashing lights around it. These are flashing lights. Flash, 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 flash. Okay, so it gets everybody's attention and shows that it's important. Okay, and of course they're flashing, 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 flashing. First rule, all XML documents must have a closing tag. Now, if you recall, in HTML, I could have a void element. A void element didn't have a closing tag, right? A void element was like, for example, if I had a BR for a line break, like that didn't need a closing tag. That's not true in XML. Every element must have a closing tag. So let me look at the board up there at the screen. Look at the screen here. Here's what I'm going to do with the, this is my XML document, okay? I've opened it in a text file. I'm going to take ID right here. See the ID right there? Okay. I'm going to remove the closing tag. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to come over here and simply refresh this page. What happens? I get an error. The browser knows I made a boo-boo on this XML document. It says end tag student does not match start tag ID. Error, processing source. So it knows something's missing with the document. And what it's saying is that this end tag here, student, does not match the opening tag of ID. Why would it do that? Well, keep looking at the screen there. And if I move this guy over here, so the last tag, what did I do? I removed this right here. the last tag that was opened was ID. And what I do here, you see this right here? There's the opening tag student. There's the closing tag student. So it sees a missing tag here, which is the ID, so it knows there's something wrong. So I must always have a closing tag, and the closing tag looks just like the opening tag, except it has the /. So I'm going to make that correction. I'll do a Control-S to save it. I'm going to come over here and do a refresh, and now it works. Okay. I'm going to allow block content, and I'm not going to worry about that. All right, so let's see the second rule about XML. Number 2, all XML documents must have a root element. Now remember what a root element was? A root element has no parent. P-A-R-E-N-T. Okay, a root element has no parent. And remember we talked about this in one of our previous lectures. Okay, let's go back and look at the monitor, please, the large monitor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the root element in this XML document. You see the root element right now is students. There's the opening tag. And down here is the closing tag. Students that element has no parent. Student right here, student is a child of students. I'm going to remove, I'm just going to do a Control-X here. And I'm going to come down here and just get rid of that. So here I have my XML document, and I removed the root element. Okay, let's see what happens now. All right, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to come over here and refresh it. And it says the XML page cannot be displayed. It says only one top-level element is allowed in an XML document. Says only one top-level element is allowed in an XML document. It thinks that every one of these I'm trying to use as a root element. You see, because right now student doesn't have a parent. And neither does this student, and neither does this. So it's saying, wait a minute, you're trying to use more than one root element. You can't do that. So right away, again, it gives me an error, which is cool because if browsers give me errors on this stuff and that's how I'm getting my data, it can tell right away if there's an error in these rules. So you should know what the rules are. So I'm going to put back the root element. You can keep on that screen there, please. And then I'm going to come here. I'm going to do a Control-V. There's students. I come down here, do a Control-V. There's students. And to make it a closing tag, I just put a slash in front of it, Control-S to save it. I come here on this page here and I refresh, and now it works. Okay. I'm going to say allow block content. Yes. Okay. All right. So let's see. What is the third rule? So far, pretty straightforward, pretty simple rules. I got to find what I did with my thingamadero. Here it is. Okay. Third rule. XML tags are case sensitive. Remember we said in HTML that the tags in HTML were not case sensitive? All right, look, watch this. Let's go back on the large screen there, please. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. What I have here, I have student ID. They're both lowercase ID. I'm going to make this ID the closing tag. I'm going to make it uppercase. Okay. So This closing tag is a different case from this tag, the opening tag. I'm going to do a Control S to save it. I'm going to come over here and do a refresh to refresh it. And it says end tag ID, which is in caps, does not match start tag ID, which is in small case, error processing the source. So let me do this. I'm going to make a correction. I'm going to now make the opening tag in uppercase, and let's see what happens now. I'm going to do a Control S to save it, and I'm going to come here and refresh it, and now it works. You say, wait a minute, what do you mean it works? I'm going to get rid of this. What it means is that it's case sensitive. Whatever case I use for the opening tag, I must use the same case for the corresponding closing tag. So if I come here for last name and I made all these caps for the opening tag, I would have to make all these caps for the closing tag. I don't have to do that with an HTML document. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to come right here and I'm going to rename this .html, because that's what it is. It's an HTML document. I was just displaying it as an XML document. What I'm now going to do, I'm going to open it with Notepad, and I've got H1 here. As we know what H1, what I should see is, and let me double click on it, H1 means show me the context as large as you can. It says welcome. Okay? And nice big font. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is let me come over here. I'm now going to come here and make this a capital H1. Okay? Because what I'm trying to demonstrate is that for an HTML document, tags are not case sensitive. So here the opening tag was a lowercase. Here the closing tag was an uppercase. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to come over here and refresh it. Not a problem. Didn't break it, didn't give me an error message or anything. So when we say that XML tags are case sensitive, that's what we mean. The opening tags and their corresponding closing tags must have the same case. When we say that HTML documents are not case sensitive, what we mean is that the opening tag and its corresponding closing tag can be of different cases. Okay, back here on the board. Let's see, I have to find, here's my pen. All right, so the fourth rule is XML tags must be properly nested. I might say, what do you mean with that? What I really mean with that is that the last tag opened must be the first tag closed. When you do this with HTML5, when you follow this rule, you guarantee that HTML5 will now work on most internet appliances. If you use an editor to create HTML5, there's no guarantees that Rule 4 is going to be followed. It may not work on all internet appliances. Let me show you what I mean. You can go back on the screen there, please. So I'm going to close this guy here. And I'm going to come here, and what I'm going to do here, I've got last name and first name. I'm going to take last name and just use it as the closing tag for first name. Okay, so I took last name, and I'm going to put, let me see, I'm going to take first name, Control C to copy it. Put it up here with last name, Control V to paste it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not doing it on the document. I'm doing it here. I'm doing it on the browser. So I got to take Control C for this. I'm going to do Control V. Okay, and I'm going to make this last name. And if I look at this, I see that this tag, last name was the last tag open. It should be the first tag closed, but it isn't. Okay? First name is the first tag closed. And so this isn't going to work. So that's what it means by properly nesting them. And of course, I can do a refresh here. And when I do the refresh, wait, I didn't save this. Control S for save. I'm going to come and do the refresh. I get an error. It says end tag F name does not match the start tag last name. So the tags must be properly nested. We're going to talk about proper nesting more in the future lectures. Now, when we apply these rules here, applying these rules to an HTML document gives us XHTML. So what is XHTML? It's HTML that uses the rules for XML. And what makes that so cool is that now it can be in the cloud and it can be transported all over the place, used for storage, just like XML can. And the only difference is that this is now opened up by a browser with tags that are not necessarily self-describing, but tags that mean something to the HTML document. Okay, so that's it for this lecture. Thank you very much for attending.